We're gonna get to our games here in just a second. Lucy or Goosey for Golic. What if for Lucy? It's weird. It's strange. But Lucy, we have not spoken to you since the College Football Playoff Committee released their initial rankings here. So, what were your thoughts? What were your thoughts as they unveiled their top 25 and really their playoff?
It normally like the first round of rankings, I try not to get too worked up over it because they're all going to change. Specifically, like if you look at Georgia alone, they have two really tough games coming up. There are a lot of people who are going to repeat within that top 12 of just playing one another. I think my big sort of area that I was kind of confused by was Penn State and Indiana, where I don't think Penn State should have been ranked as high as they were. And sometimes I just sit and like I know you guys have talked about it on the main show, but quality losses drive me up a wall. That's not a real thing. You need to stop making things up and you need to just look at wins and losses and how teams are playing. Like, what are we talking about?
Right.
And I just feel like everything they say contradicts itself so much. Where they're like, well, we do the eye test. Well, if you did the eye test, Mizzou would never be in the top 25, and Indiana would definitely be above Penn State. But it's just they rank these losses as more important than these wins, and it drives me just absolutely like crazy. But I try to tell myself that these things usually do end up correcting themselves. And with the exception of sort of the Florida State situation last year, there haven't been a ton of like, oh my God, that was so horrible. You got that so wrong. We're like, this year you have more opportunity to fix what you're getting wrong. And I just think it'll all work itself out. But every time I watch it, I always sit there and go, I don't know if you're watching college football. I don't believe you when you say that.
Mike,
I think BYU kind of got screwed.
I agree.
really?
They have a better strength of schedule, a better strength of record than Ohio State. They play basically the same quality schedule as Texas, and they have two wins against other teams ranked in the committee's top 25. That's as many as Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Tennessee, and Indiana combined. They got kind of screwed. Sitting at number 9. Obviously, they control their own destiny. I would go undefeated with the possibility of playing Colorado in the
Yeah.
Big 12 championships. Now, Colorado doesn't control their own destiny. Iowa State has to lose, but Iowa State playing Kansas State, that certainly could happen. That would be, how about Colorado? Colorado, we talked about ad nauseum last year and they stunk. And Colorado this year, we're not really talking about them, and they're actually pretty good.
Yeah, I saw this thing that like Colorado's TV numbers are down like 45% from
Yeah.
last season, and they're significantly better than they
Yes.
were last season. We all kind of wrote them off after the Nebraska loss, which I did included. But they have really just turned things around. The thing with Colorado is they play Texas Tech this weekend, who is was up until a few weeks ago one of the remaining undefeated teams in the Big
Right.
12. They kind of fumbled around. They just beat Iowa State. The Big 12, I've said this so many times, absorbed four Pac-12 teams and it absorbed all the Pac-12 energy with them, where they're all just beating the literal crap out of each other, which is like great. You have a competitive conference, but you're really hurting yourself when it comes to the playoff because I don't see a world where there's more than one Big 12 team in that playoff.
I have a question for you guys because, as you know, I'm dumb and I got a lot of information when the rankings came out. So you guys both feel bad for BYU because they're ranked number 9 in terms of the rankings. However, when it comes to the bracket, they're number 4, so they still get a first round bye. So which one should I be paying more attention to?
Here's the thing. You're right. If they win the conference, that they'll be number 4. But what if they lose in the conference championship game? Now they'll probably be higher than 9 because Tennessee probably loses to Georgia. If Indiana loses to Ohio State, BYU will probably jump up to like 7. And the thought, and Lucy, correct me if I'm wrong, is BYU would make it to the championship game, lose, and then the winner, be it Iowa State or Colorado, would have the automatic bid, and BYU could find themselves on the outside looking in.
That's
Though I
absurd.
think the only way you get two teams in the ACC and the Big 12 is to have the non undefeated team, Miami and BYU, lose in the conference championship game. Because if Miami is going to be ranked in the top 5 throughout the rest of the year, and if they were to lose to say SMU in the ACC title game, SMU will be in with the automatic bid, and Miami will be in. And I think if Iowa State were to beat BYU, both Iowa State and BYU were to be in. But if BYU wins and Miami wins, the Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti, the two commissioners of the Big 12 and SEC, are going to say this is how it should be. 4 from the SEC and 4 from the Big 10 should be in every year.
Yeah, I agree 100%. One of the things I find most fascinating about this playoff system is if you make it to your conference championship and lose, you are punished. Because even if you go and you play in the Big Ten championship and you lose to Ohio State, now you don't get 1 through 4. You have to play a second game. Like you're playing a second conference championship game. So you're playing an extra week than everyone else. And then you have to play another extra week in the playoff. You have to play in the first round. It seems like such a failure of the system where like I look at the Big Ten specifically, where most likely Penn State is going to make the playoff. They probably won't make the Big Ten championship game.
Right.
And Oregon is better than them. Ohio State is better than them. One of those teams, or Indiana, we don't know, will lose in the Big Ten championship game and have to play 2 more games than
Right.
Penn State.
Yep.
They're getting punished for being better, which is crazy.
So earlier this week, I was saying, and I upset a lot of people in Indiana, which I didn't think was going to happen. But I said, if Indiana loses to Ohio State, best case scenario for them is don't make the championship game, because then you have the chance of having 2 losses and you're probably out.
They
Or if
have
you
to lose a
just
close
one-
game. In that scenario, Billy, it has to be a close competitive
Yeah.
game against Ohio State. But I understand where you're going. Go ahead. Keep going.
But they're more punished if they make it to the championship and lose than if they don't make
Yes.
it at all and only have 1 loss at the end of the season.
Yes,
Well-
that's true. Sorry to cut you off. I think also one of the things that like kind of factors into them being mad at you is this is an Indiana team that never in a million years thought they would be in the Big Ten championship game. So I
Yeah.
think they're very happy to get 2 extra games out of this team.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does punish them if you make it to the Big Ten championship game and lose because now that's 2 extra games. That's a lot of wear and tear. It's going to make the first round a lot more interesting.
But here's the difference. They're sitting in the 8th slot, and if they get hammered by Ohio State, they may drop out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Whereas if they beat Ohio State, now all of a sudden they're ranked in the top 5, right? They're going to make a big jump. So even if they were to lose to Oregon in the Big Ten championship game, they would still make the playoffs because they'd be ranked higher. So while they would be playing an extra game, it may behoove them because if they get beat pretty good by Ohio State, they may find themselves out of the rankings.
My scenario was specifically if they lose, because if they win, yeah, you want to be in the championship game and you'll probably still get in. If you lose and you still somehow make it because of whatever, because there's a lot of ties or whatever,
Right.
and then you lose again, you're definitely out. So you don't want that scenario.
No, you do not. But if they were to lose to Ohio State in a close game, I would think they would still be in the top 12. And then, just like Lucy said, then they're sitting there not in the title game. That's kind of a break. They kind of actually get a break of not playing an extra game, and they're going to be in the playoffs.
What do you guys think? If you're a team like Oregon and you're undefeated headed into your conference championship game, yet you want to rest guys because you don't want to get them injured for the playoffs, like what is your take? Mike, what do you think about that? That idea, the idea of teams resting guys so they're healthy for the playoffs.
Well, no, you want the first round bye.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
if you lose the championship game, now you're playing on December 20th because you'll be a 5 through a 12 seed, so you'll be playing. So no, you want to play your guys, get the rest with the first round bye. That's where you get the rest.
Lucy, you agree?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think the only thing that really makes these conference championship games like something to note is how you play in those to secure getting home field advantage in the first round, because that 5 through 12 is, with the exception of where Boise State ends up, is very like it's going to move. You can change things up quite a bit. So like if you get blown out by Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game, that's probably not great for you, because if you win close, you might get a higher seed. And then now Bloomington, Indiana is hosting a playoff game in the first
Right.
round, which is just so cool to say.
It would be very cool. Mike, what did you make of because I agree with Lucy. It'd be nice if the committee actually had a format that we knew how they were doing these rankings every single year. Now, Billy and I probably kind of like a committee that just blurts things out, and that's what they do. The head of the committee was talking on ESPN, and they'll just blurt things out. Yeah, but that team lost to this team. Yeah, but this player's hurt. Yeah. Now, that's my kind of committee, but it would be nice for the fans of college football to know how they come about these rankings. No?
Yeah, and they don't. I mean, it changes
No.
every week, every month, every year. It changes what they put the emphasis on. Listen, I would have no problem, because if you put them side by side, whenever we had the final committee rankings of the top 4, if you incorporated the old BCS system, it was basically the same 4 teams. So if you go back to the BCS system to spit out your 12 and then you seed from there conference champs, You wouldn't have that. You wouldn't. It's a computer doing it. It's a not opinionated. It's not the eye test. It's computer valued, and it's been basically the same as the committee top four since they instituted the committee. So you want to stop those questions and take the human element out of it. Just go back to the BCS computer rankings to spit out your top 12, and then you do the seedings from your conference champs.
Yeah, after the first round of the rankings came out, the Ward Manuel, the Michigan AD who's in charge of the selection committee this year, they came out and they do the presser like they always do. And their reasoning for ranking Penn State high was crazy. He was like, they've got a great tight end.
What
I'm like,
was that?
I'm like,
amazing.
yeah,
like
he's great, but I don't know if that's the reason. In that case, Iowa should be number one. Put Iowa in the top 12. Like, it's crazy. And he was like, well, they had a really close win against USC, who is very bad. They beat Illinois, who is not very good. And their tight end is so great. And in my mind, I thought, well, if their tight end's so great, why doesn't James Franklin use him in late game situations? But that's not the point of that.
Because he's a bad coach.
But it was just one of those things that I was like, so your ranking for putting Penn State high with a loss over some undefeated teams is that they have a good tight end.
Yeah.
Maybe you should just not answer the question. Maybe you should maybe no comment it next time.
I am railing against the committee that I would love to be on, and it's exactly the way I would run the committee. And Billy said he loves that. Just, great tight end. But Billy, we don't care. I mean, you're an agent of chaos, and we just don't care. We don't care the way Lucy and Golic care. They care. We don't.
No.
Love, good tight end. Good tight end.
No. It's guys, look, you're so innocent. Here's the thing. Guys, this is what's going on here. We need to move things around. We need to shuffle things. So the first one is just like, we'll put this in there. When they ask you why, just say great tight end. And then by the end, it'll all be fine. It'll all be cleaned out in the wash once we get to the final rankings. The right teams will be in the right places. Before that, you just got to move things around, shake things up a bit, keep people tuning in on Tuesday nights to see the rankings,
It'll be cleaned up at the end because the teams play each other and they'll take care of it on field. And by the way, I really do. I've talked with Heather Dinich about this. I really do. When I'm done with this media crap that I've been doing for decades, I do want to be on the committee. Because I'd love to be part of.
After you get a +1,
to rank the top 25.
+2, +3.
And B, I heard the catering is phenomenal, so I would dig that.
Right. You want to be Ward Manuel? Is that what you want?
Listen,
Mike, I am totally good with you or Lucy being the president of college football. Either one, co-presidents, whatever you want. Yeah,
I'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be so good.
Golic just wants the food. He's so good.